All right, everybody. Happy Wednesday night. Welcome on into the Hat Creek Interior Studios. That's hatcreek.us for their website. Custom furniture, accessories, the best of Western style furniture. From the East Coast to the West Coast, the best is right here in Lubbock, Texas, 10101 South Slide Road. Check out the showroom. Tonight, what do we got? Tech football. Here's the question: is it a dilemma or not? And when they give you a dilemma, make dilemonade. Host a game at 5 or bypass that and go directly to a protected seed. I use that term from the basketball tournament, but a top four seed with a bye. What do you want and why? What's best for the program? To be like 5, the best non host, and host a game in Lubbock in the playoffs, or not? You tell me, what do you want and why? Tech men's basketball, the Bahamas got a great opportunity. Wake Forest first. If you get through that, you get number one Purdue. Can they get a signature? I mean, not just a season making win. Can they do that down there? And then what if Wednesday, we love alt history? What if there were no ESPN? What if ESPN did not exist? It never occurred. That they sat there in Bristol, Connecticut years ago in the late 70s and Chad Simmons and they were like, no, this is a dumb idea. We're not going to do this. And the status quo remained broadcast networks doing sports, but doing sports kind of part time. I mean, big on the weekends and everything else, but no all sports channel. How different would college football be today? That's old history. Now, I know you got to break your brain away from that and say, okay, yeah, but we know it. No, 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 no. In an alternate universe, there is no ESPN. There is no all sports channel. What would have been different? Would things be better, worse, or in between? The dollar impacts, realignment, you tell me. Travel or not for Thanksgiving? You guys going to be on the road or not? And then finally, Texas Tech baseball. I know we're a few months away, but AJ doing some really good reporting. Somebody doing some whispering and said, hey, you might want to do a story about Tim Tadlock's contract. It's been revised. And for those who said it was a lifetime contract, it was never a lifetime contract. It was a 7-year contract with an automatic renewal. All right. Texas Tech decided this summer, Kirby Hocutt, we're not going to renew this every year. Your contract right now would be done in 2031. All of that, your comments, your thoughts, everything on the United Supermarkets chat line. And do we still have gnats in the freaking Hat Creek Interior Studios? Yes, they can only do so much. In 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt. Raiderland.com, the website, everything we do, we archive there, including our morning column. We give you the question of the day. We give you the Raiderland hot links brought to you by Jackson Brothers Meat Locker in Post, Texas. They can do all your meat processing here on the South Plains. They ship anywhere. So to go to their website, order up some great meat for the holiday season, and tell them Raiderland sent you. All of your communications tonight on all the topics brought to you by United Supermarkets and Market Street on the United Supermarkets chat line. There's the grocery store that takes care of tech. There's another one in town that takes care of a team down in Austin. Also brought to you by our friends on Wednesday, Shropshire Insurance of Texas. If you have Shropshire Insurance of Texas, based in Lubbock, big enough for the whole Lone Star State, you'll never ask what if when it comes to insurance. Call Jeff this week, tomorrow, business, church, family, whatever, independent just like you. Tell him we sent you. And after he gets done giggling a little bit, going, yeah, hi, then find out all they can do for you. And we're brought to you by Fire and Ice Outdoor Living in Lubbock. Go to their website, go to their Facebook page. Smokers check, grills check, gas, propane, all that, charcoal, you name it. What if I want rubs? Settle down for the meats, or barbecue sauces, or outdoor speakers, or coolers, or any of those things. You go to my friends at Fire and Ice, you check it out. And again, the power of five people every night who like what we do. If you really like what we do and you want to help us keep doing it, go to our sponsors' Facebook pages, Twitter feed, social media, and tell them thanks for being a part of Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. It's easy to do. Don't cost you nothing. It takes like 30 seconds. You could hit United, Shropshire, Fire and Ice, and Hat Creek Interiors within 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how fast you type. All right, let's get it going tonight on the show. We will go as long as the comments are great and interesting. I know they will be. Whether you're on YouTube, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, hit like, hit share, grow that. We want 700 subscribers by the weekend. Whether you're on our Facebook page, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, again, free, subscribe, don't cost nothing, or Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. We're nearly 7,000. Are we? Now I've lost track. Are we 7 or 8? What are we going for right now? Anyhow, a lot of thousands of people on there. Tech football, host a game or not? What do you want? What's best for the program? 5 in the latest rankings. Tech men's basketball, will discuss that. And what if Wednesday, no ESPN? Would sports be better? Would college? Let's go college sports. Be better or worse without it? You tell me. Travel or not, and then Tech baseball. Okay, let's go to the United Supermarket chat line and Redder, my man Paul Snappy Smith out there. I want them to continue being representatives of West Texas culture, work hard, enjoy hard. My man Paul, follow his page. It's probably got a link on there on Facebook. I know it does. We link to it. Good dude. If you love Red River, northern New Mexico, or even Levita, Colorado, where you can take the train out of Alamosa, I think. You'll go down, you can have lunch in Levita. It'll take you back to Alamosa. JCTT, are kids back for spring semester when Tech host? Yes, host. No, we earned by take it. Yeah, no, they won't be back. Like the 20th, I think, is when they come back. So absolutely, you're not. If you're hosting a game, you're hosting it in what? Third week of December. So 6, 20 through there. Yeah. They're done. They're gone. That's a really good point that I don't think a lot of people have brought that up, that the hosting period for this is when a lot of the students are gone anyways. Good call there, JCTT. Jeff is next up. That man right there on YouTube. Look at his handle. Jeff Seal, not a seal, could be a mammal. 5 seed and host to beat the crap out of a G5 school, then go win the next game. Proves we belong. Good for the home fans. All the bye teams lost their first games last year. Yeah, but that was when you had to put automatically in the teams that won their conference deal. And I don't think it really transcribes to this year and going forward on, all the bye teams lost last year or didn't win the championship is really what you're saying. So I disagree with that. I'm more in line with JCTT right there. And let me say this right now. If you can get to 3, get to freaking 3. You don't have to prove you belong. You prove you belong by winning the Big 12, going 12-1, and being the third, seeded team in the tournament or playoffs. So I don't need any of this. We got to prove we belong. No, crap. Screw that. Let them prove they belong, and they deserve to play you. That's some wrong-headed thinking right there by Jeff, who normally is right-headed thinking. Texas Tech football. What do you want? What is best for the program? What do you think's going to happen? All that. I'll tell you this right now. You're not going to be 5. Last week we told you you're not going to be 6. The dynamics don't work out that way. The committee telegraphed again last night, in my opinion, the Big 12 champ, if Texas Tech, will be the 3rd seed. Who will be the first 2 seeds? The winners of the SEC and the Big 10 championship game. Who will be the 4th seed? The highest rated, highest thought of loser of those 2 games, whether it be Indiana or fill in the blank on the SEC, they get the 4th slot, and then we start on down. But they are 100% going to reward a Power 4 conference champion. 1 loss, backup quarterback on the road. Now, why are they going to do that? Because it gets people off their back saying it's all about the SEC and the Big 10. And they can come back and say, well, you can't say that. I mean, look who the 3rd seed is. Out of the Big 12, Texas Tech. If Tech doesn't win the Big 12 title game, somebody else does. Will they get that 3rd spot? No, they will not. If Tech loses in the title game, beats West Virginia, loses in the title game, will they be the 3rd? No, they will not. Will they be 5? No, they will not. They'll be about 10, and you'll have 2 teams in, like around 8 and 10 are right in through there. United Supermarkets, we have an open date, but that doesn't mean we have an open weekend, right? We got plenty of NFL, plenty of college football games to take in. Tailgate at your own home, right there. Go to United Supermarkets. Oh, Thanksgiving. Yeah. Yeah, you can go there now, this week. Get all your stuff. Don't wait. Get with the wife, plan it out. If you're single, hey, call mom, call the girlfriend's family and say, hey, what do you need? What can I get? What can I bring? And you don't wait. You go. All right? You go. You get it. You take care of it. It's easy. Meanwhile, Steven on Twitter X at Ryan Hyatt Media. Get a bye. D gets a week to prep without rehabbing from a game. Champion mentality. Steven gets it. That's what we want, right? You want the best you can get. And a lot of times I would say, and I'm torn on this, but by the way, this is one of the things that still sucks about the college football playoff. And that's the massive long layoff from the title games and conference championship games to when the best teams play. That has to be rectified going forward. No more than a week off. That we get back in action in mid-December and we go through there. And really, I think the college football playoff needs to wrap up on New Year's Day if you can make it happen. Now, when we go to 16, it gets a little more awkward. So I get it. Maybe we go, the semifinals are on New Year's weekend, and then the championship game is the week after. Not on a Monday. We play on Saturdays. But the biggest downside to being the 3 seed, in my opinion, is having to wait a long time. However, for this team this year, with your quarterback and with some other injuries, yeah, knock yourself out. Let's do it. Jeff, I'll take your 3 seed. I have brought one man back over to the other side of wanting the 5 seed to the 3 seed. Can I get anybody else with me tonight? You know? Can I get anybody else? Texas Tech football. They're ranked exactly where they should be right now, 5. So do you want a playoff game and host it, or do you want the bye? What do you want and why? What's better for the program? You tell me tonight. Now, you already know kind of where I'm going to go on this. That's fine. We can debate. We can have intelligent discussion. We are a rational, intelligent being, granted with great thinking by our Lord and Savior. What if no ESPN? That's the What If Wednesday. If ESPN didn't exist, would realignment ever have happened? And for those who don't understand the What If Wednesday, it's based on the concepts of alternate history, that we have divergent paths, and ESPN was created, and the reality we have now exists. But that in 1979, they looked at it, and they either decided not to do it, or in about 1980 or 81, Chet Simmons and the backers said, no, this ain't going to work. We can't do a cable network channel that does nothing but sports. So ESPN never exists. And in the alternate history, people look at ESPN and go, we're not going to do that. ABC's not going to sink their money into that. CBS, no, we're just going to do what we do. And we're going to televise sports on the weekends and Monday Night Football, a little bit here and there. But, you know, that's all we're going to do. Maybe some regional networks like the old Home Sports Entertainment, HSC, Raycom, the Mizlu Network. Some of those things exist, but nothing like ESPN. How does that change the history of sports? I would submit to you that if there's no ESPN by 1990, Arkansas doesn't lead the Southwest Conference. They stay in there. And Arkansas was really the first domino of major school movements. And you guys know the history, you know what happens from there. So now there's no hyper money, and there's no hyper bidding going on, by the way. And there's no hyper bidding going on. This partly plays into pro sports. With no ESPN, you're not driving up NFL rights, Major League Baseball, NBA, that it suppresses the hyper influence of dollars, certainly in the 90s and definitely since 2000. All right. Does the Southwest Conference still exist in that universe? The Big Eight. You tell me. Because say what you want about ESPN, the impact that they had dollar wise creating a marketplace where other media entities had to compete, driving it up. ESPN driving it up on the cable side. You know, if there's no ESPN, does Rupert Murdoch and Fox even try to go after the NFL in 1994? I mean, maybe they don't. You tell me. All right, we got that in the bonus questions tonight. Travel or not for Thanksgiving? We got plenty of time to talk about this over the coming days. I am loath to travel these days over the holidays. I did it for 25, 30 some odd years, and I hate it now, and I don't want to do it. I ain't going nowhere. And then the Tim Tadlock contract story that came out, hat tip, Don Williams, Lubbock Avalanche Journal, the revision of the contract. And for those who don't know, Texas Tech in the summer, Kirby Hocutt wrote a nice little letter to Tim Tadlock and said, hey, yeah, you guys have sucked the last 2 years, and we have the ability to not continue doing a rollover option on your contract. We're exercising that right now. As of 2031, your contract would be up. You still get your raises. You still get 1.25 and then 1.5 and all that. But yeah, your base is going to be 300,000 and you get your guarantee. There's the story. All right, I know we got a lot of people stacking up on the conversation line there by United Supermarkets. What are the folks saying, Ed? Can we beat Purdue? Yes. Will we? The supporting cast around JT Toppin has to play much better than they have today. You played this close to well enough to be able to get a win there at Illinois. You just didn't shoot it good. How's this game going to be officiated? That'll be interesting. Can Texas Tech beat Purdue? Absolutely. I think they can. I don't know. But it's a great opportunity either way. JC Double T, no ESPN, good one. Thank you. Hat tip, by the way, to Robert Christopher, who posts on here sometimes. He was the one who came up with the idea of doing a weekly what if, alt history type deal. We're actually good friends, and he knows my love affair for history and everything. He's like, you got to do this every week. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's really cool and fun until every week you got to come up with I got to come up with 52 alternate history questions a year. No ESPN, good one. Impact on college is profoundly terrible once they got the SEC from CBS. Folks confuse them with sports news when they're simply propagandist and needed TU, OU to finish their SEC. So we're conflating history and reality a little bit. I'm saying there's no ESPN. So what would be different? It doesn't exist. It never happens. So you can't sit there and say, whatever impact you've seen over the years with ESPN promoting or otherwise, that doesn't exist. So where would we be without that? That becomes the question. What would the landscape look like? Not what it is now and you don't like it. I mean, it's not there. I mean, you guys have all seen It's a Wonderful Life, right? We are going into the graveyard. We're going into the cemetery. George Bailey's little brother, Harry Bailey's dead. There's the tombstone. George, you weren't there to save him. He fell through the ice and he drowned. That's not true. He became no, you weren't there to save him, George. So ESPN, not there. What happens? On the Southwest Conference would still exist. Pac-10 and WAC would still exist too. And I would say the Big Eight would still exist. Then the question becomes, so in that world, no ESPN, And if we say no ESPN, no hyper dollar figures, and really that the hyper dollar figures slowly begin in the 90s and rapidly increase after the creation of the BCS. 1997 is your line of demarcation, by the way, for college football particularly, but college sports, money, and everything else. So in that world where that doesn't happen, in that world, is 2025 a better product, a better college experience, a better, you tell me? The playoffs would have happened earlier without the proliferation of ESPN-owned bowl games. So they, and have for damn near 15 years at least, propped up all these ancillary bowl games because they need programming. The only way they can pay for what used to be the BCS and then became the playoff and now the expanded playoff, the only way ESPN could pay for that was to have content all during December that they could charge advertisers exorbitant rates for the playoff games and then basically bonus them these meaningless bowl games. That's what Alan's talking about right there. So that kept the bowl system alive. So if that doesn't happen, the bowl system is probably going to collapse. And we could do and we should. Alan, remind me, you're the show historian and have been since about 1998 or 9 or so, since you were a kid hanging out on my driveway playing basketball. Did we have we had a basketball goal, didn't we? Yeah, I think so. Anyhow, you're going to have to write this down because Scott Fitzgerald's not around. I can't make him do it. The history of bowl games and why they even exist. And it's like total everywhere from socialism to capitalism to everything in between, born out of the Depression and FDR's New Deal. Remind me to do a show on that sometime during December. Initial reports after SEH surgery suggested he might be available after missing a month and a half. Would he play if cleared? I would not play. I wouldn't play Skyler. I wouldn't play him. I think he's got such a bright future. I would not rush him back. And you have the luxury of being just incredibly deep in the middle on defense that if I were Shiel Wood and I were Joey McGuire, I would tell him, hey, thanks. You don't have to do this. Spam folders. No travel on Thanksgiving. There's my man. No travel spam right there. If you are traveling, I understand it. I did it for a long time. I've had Thanksgiving at a Big Boy in Tulsa, a drive-through in Palo Alto, California, and places in between. I've also woken up on Thanksgiving morning in Hawaii, Honolulu, and St. Thomas. Was it St. Thomas Thanksgiving or was that Christmas? I don't know. But I've also been in Stillwater, Oklahoma on Thanksgiving in the early 90s, pre-Big 12. That wasn't fun. Jay, without a dog in the hunt, ESPN is great on NFL fraud for college. Yeah, but I'm saying they don't exist. There is no ESPN. What would it look like now? ESPN never happened. Chet Simmons, they never made it happen. If no ESPN, Dylan says on YouTube, is there a Dan Patrick? Heard the interview you gave him way back in the day. So yeah, I think I interviewed Patrick twice. Once on the radio show, once on the Williams and Hyatt show, but I think I also had a taped interview with him one time prior to that when he was in Lubbock. I don't know. Details are lost. Thanks for the kind words on that. And we had that. My friend Robert Snyder has a ton of old audio archive from the days of KKM, Lubbock's first all-sports radio station in 1996 and on through the years. And he's got that post, and I think we shared it earlier. But thanks on that. Yeah, so is there no Dan Patrick? Well, Dan Patrick would have been doing sports on CNN or NBC or CBS, but he wouldn't have been doing Sports Center. He wouldn't have been doing that. If there's no ESPN, Sports radio. Does sports radio evolve out of ESPN? Yeah. Or does it? I don't know. There were sports shows even in the 70s prior to ESPN. I'm talking about radio shows, but they were confined. A 1 hour once a week, and Vin Scully would come in and, hey, everybody, welcome to Dodger Talk. I can't do Scully. Nobody can. Welcome to Dodger Talk. We're here at Chavez Ravine. All I can do now when I try to do Scully is end up doing Jim Brockmeyer, But of course, Jim Brockmeyer in the 1970s was doing Royals talk there with George Brett, Paul Splittorff, Dan Quisenberry. So that would have been good too. I know ESPN, none of the small schools are on TV in the middle of the week. So that's a win, right, for America and everybody else. We absolutely, says JCTT, would have AG conferences until streaming now. Let's just be hitting fan. Though bowl explosion is a different can of worms. I got no idea what you just said. In the words of Jim Brockmeyer, I don't know whether you're high or I'm drunk or you're drunk and I'm high, but either way, what you just said to me makes zero sense, even in Bangladesh. And in Bangladesh, when people are drunk and high, that's when they communicate the best. I remember one time I'm calling a cockfight in Bangladesh. I'm in the bathroom sitting there looking at Leon Lett from the Dallas Cowboys thinking, how are we both here right now at a cockfight in Bangladesh? In which he said, let's see, Ryan, hoping the weather forecast in Morgantown improves. 35 snowy for game day yesterday. Yeah, I was peeking at it earlier in the week. That is the one big wild card on that game is weather. That is the thing that compresses talent, speed, everything. But I would say right now that if you're a Texas Tech fan, if it is bad weather, you're built around a defense that can win a slog game and just destroy a team, I think, if they can't move. You still got to figure out a way to score. Luckily, Jacob Rodriguez is on your team, and he'll be playing wide receiver, cornerback, and various other positions next Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday. In a hyper offense Tech era, 100% I'd be worried about the weather. In this era of Texas Tech football, I don't think it's great. I think it means you just try to get out of there with a win, 14, 17 points, whatever. But it certainly would compress talent advantage. Alan, I think regional sports networks would have lived longer without ESPN. Fox and CBS probably steps in coverage of college sports. And that's the most logical, I think, train of thought right there, that there's no ESPN in the 80s. So we go into the 90s. And the HSCs and the Raycoms and all those regional networks that we were talking about, they kind of get a grasp and they hold on to it. And we have this confederation of regional sports networks. Nobody doing like necessarily full all day 24/7 sports, but they're serving there's a regional Pac-12 or Pac-10. You get the idea. I think that's the most logical explanation of what would have happened with no ESPN by the time 1990 rolls around versus 1980. Twitter X. If there's no ESPN, I keep the volume on during the games. Nice. Good job. I know if ESPN didn't exist, I probably wouldn't have to hear from Fran Schilla drool over Kansas every week. Hey, but Fran loves Tech. He really does. He loves Tech. He loves McCaslin. He loves Lubbock. He needs to go eat pizza with Rob Bro, who's on Double T 97. That needs to happen. And every time you see Fran Fraschilla on Twitter, on social media, say, next time you're in Lubbock, you've got to eat pizza with Rob Bro. Allen Tech, 28 points better than West Virginia in decent weather and snow, just to 17 points better. Yeah, I would take a score off, and I think you got it lined right, that if it's a snowy, wet day, that's where I think I'd have that game. All right, a few more questions. We got to get out of here. JC, on both, we would have original conferences. They would now be looking around with streaming in the last 10 years. Yeah, and streaming, in that alt universe, streaming still happens. Technology still happens. Raycom, HS, Jefferson Pilot. That's the one I left out. There for the homies. Well, I still got an HSE banner, man, from 1989. I used to have, in 1989, I got paid for doing stats for a Tech basketball game by HSE. And this is cool. I don't think they do this anymore. But back then, they literally paid you on site that night. Like you were done, you went to the truck, they gave you a check, and I saved the check stub from Home Sports Entertainment for $50. And in 1989, you work a basketball game for like 3 hours. I can't remember what the call time was. It was like an hour before tip off. So say a 7 o'clock game, I had to be there at 6 and did stats, feeding stats, sitting there on press row, talking to Greg Lucas. I think it was Greg Lucas that night. It wasn't Bill Worrell. I think it was Greg Lucas. And, you're feeding stats and everything else. Game's over, everything else. And you go back out to the truck, and there's this nice lady, printing out checks, doing checks. And I saved that check stuff for a long time because it was like I got paid 50 freaking bucks, man, to do a game where I didn't have to broadcast it. I didn't have to do anything. I'm just literally keeping up with stats. Johnny Grusing has 6 points and 1 assist. There you go. Still have the banner. All right, you guys are really good. We got to get out of here tonight. Tomorrow's Thursday. Overrated, underrated, rated right. We'll have the column up in the morning. I have no idea what we're going to rate tomorrow, but it'll be awesome. It'll be great. I ask you guys to do a couple of things before we get out of here. One, I thank you for being a great, great loyal audience and supporting our sponsors. We need the power of 5. 5 of you tonight who enjoyed the show, go to our sponsors like United Supermarkets, Shropshire Insurance of Texas, Fire and Ice Outdoor Living in Lubbock, and of course, Hat Creek Interiors here in the Hat Creek Interior Studios, which is glorious. Some say the best studios ever. Go to their Facebook pages. Tell them thanks for supporting Raiderland. Then retweet this out here. We're going to have it on the website, theraiderland.com, in just a little bit. And then for those of you who follow us on Twitter, at Ryan Hyatt Media, and Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland on Facebook, your daily dose of West Texas. We close the night every night with the daily dose of West Texas. It's pretty cool. All right? You got to check it out. All right, you guys are the best. We appreciate it. Have Merle Harmon's Nolan 5000 strikeout game scorecard from HS. Hold on. What? I don't have time to get into this. You actually have his scorebook, okay, we got to talk. We need 5 people to tell advertisers and need 5 people to create burners to share. Thank you very much. Get Santa up. Santa is awake. Santa is ready. Happy Santa will appear next week. All right? He will appear next week. Right over our shoulder. And maybe even more than you've ever anticipated Christmas. We may go Christmas crazy this year. All right. Thanks for being out there. You guys are the best. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow, theraiderland.com.